Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. With Guruji's immense grace, I am able to continue on day number 24. Today we will be, continuing our journey for chapter number 24, which is basically I became a, a monk of the Swami Order. This is a very interesting book because there are many nuances and a little bit of minor things which have been told that why it was so important for Yogananda ji to become a Swami in the first place. And there's a very interesting line which has been quoted, um, and that is, if you don't invite God to be your summer guest, He won't come in the winter of your life. कहने का तात्पर्य ये है कि अगर आप सुख में भगवान को याद नहीं करते हैं तो आपके दुख में वो कैसे आ सकते हैं. सो आई थिंक ये हम लोग जिस तरीके से हमारी जीवन को जीते हैं वी ट्राई टू सी थिंग्स दैट हमें भगवान के पास तभी जाना चाहिए जब हमारे लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम्स हो. भगवान ये ठीक कर दो वो ठीक कर दो, लेकिन सिमरन एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो थ्रू आउट योर लाइफ थ्रू जॉयज थ्रू यू नो यू एंड ऑल्सो हैप्पीनेस एंड वेन एवर यू आर गेटिंग small things to say shukrana to Guruji, I think those are the times when your divinity or your devotion is actually tested. That are you thanking God every day? Are you really treating that this life उन्हीं की देन है और उन्हीं की कृपा से सब कुछ हो रहा है. एक छोटा सा शब्द याद आ रहा है कि जिथे मेहर तेरी उथे सदा खुशियाँ, जिथे मेहर नहीं उथे दुख ही दुख, सदा नाम जपो गुरु नानक दा. So, if you listen to that on any online platform, you would yourself realize that हमारे गुरु प्यार के भूखे हैं. उनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ ही जस्ट वांटिंग नीड ऑफ लव. आप उनको प्यार दीजिए, वो आपके ऊपर ग्रेस विलिंग्स ही इज गोइंग टू शावर यू योर लाइफ विथ फुल ऑफ हैप्पीनेस. आई थिंक ये बोल के आई लाइक टू बिगिन टू दिस रीडिंग विथ योर permission. And before we start, we start this by saying Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahai, Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sahai. Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Chapter number 24. I became a monk of the Swami Order. Master, my father has been anxious for me to accept an executive position with the Bengal Nagpur Railway, but I have definitely refused it. I added hopefully. Sir, will you not make me a monk of the Swami Order? I looked pleadingly at my Guru. During preceding years, in order to test the depth of my determination, he had refused the same request. Today, however, he smiled graciously. Very well, tomorrow I will initiate you into Swamiship. He went on quietly, I am happy that you have persisted in your desire to be a monk. Lahiri Mahasaya often said, if you don't invite God to be your summer guest, he won't come in the winter of your life. Lahiri Mahasaya was Shri Yukteswar's guru, but he has a profound influence on Yogananda ji as well. Same goes for Babaji, who will read in the later chapters of the in this book. Dear Master, I could never falter in my goal to belong to the Swami order like your revered self. I smiled at him with measureless affection. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord, but he that is married careth for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. I had analyzed the lives of many of my friends who, after undergoing certain spiritual discipline, had then married. Launched on the sea of worldly responsibilities, they had forgotten their resolutions to meditate deeply. To allot God a secondary place in life was to me inconceivable. Though he is the sole owner of the cosmos, silently showering us with gifts from life to life, one thing yet remains which he does not own, and which each human heart is empowered to withhold or bestow. That is man's love. Yeah. The Creator, in taking infinite pains to shroud with mystery his presence in every atom of creation, could have had but one motive, a sensitive desire that men seek him only through free will. Hmm? With what velvet glove of every humility has he not covered the iron hand of omnipotence? The following day was one of the most memorable in my life. It was a sunny Thursday, I remember, in July 1914, a few weeks after my graduation from college. On the inner balcony of his Serampore hermitage, Master dipped a new piece of white silk into a dye of ochre, the traditional color of the Swami Order. After the cloth had dried, my Guru draped it around me as a renunciate's robe. Someday you will go to the West where silk is preferred, he said. As a symbol, I have chosen for you this silk material instead of the customary cotton. In India, where monks embrace the ideal of poverty, a silk clad Swami is an unusual sight. Many yogis, however, wear garments of silk which preserve certain subtle bodily currents better than cotton. I am averse to ceremonies, Shri Yukteswar remarked. I will make you a Swami in the Bidwat, which is non-ceremonious manner. The Bibidisa, or elaborate initiation into Swamiship, includes a fire ceremony during which symbolical funeral rites are performed. The physical body of the disciple is represented as dead, cremated in the flame of wisdom. The newly made Swami is then given a chant such as "This Atma is Brahma," or "Thou art that," or "I am He." Sri Yukteswar, however, with his love of simplicity, dispensed with all formal rites and merely asked me to select a new name. I give you the privilege of choosing it yourself, he said smilingly. Yogananda, I replied after a moment's thought. The name literally means bliss, means Ananda, through divine union, that is yoga. इस तरीके से योगानंदा जी का नाम यही रहा from Mukunda Lal Ghosh. Be it so. Forsaking your family name of Mukunda Lal Ghosh, henceforth you will be called Yogananda of the Giri branch of the Swami Order. As I knelt before Sri Yukteswar for the first time, heard him pronounce my name, my heart overflowed with gratitude. How lovingly and tireless had he labored that the boy Mukunda be someday transformed into the monk Yogananda. I joyfully sang a few verses from the long Sanskrit chant of Lord Shankara. Mind, nor intellect, nor ego feeling, sky, nor earth, nor metals am I. I am He, I am He, blessed Spirit, I am He. No birth, no death, no caste have I. Father, mother, have I none. I am He, I am He, blessed Spirit, I am He. Beyond the flights of fancy, formless am I, permeating the limbs of all life, bondage I do not fear. I am free, ever free. I am He, I am He. Blessed Spirit, I am He. Every Swami belongs to the ancient monastic order which was organized in its present form by Shankara. Because it is a formal order with an unbroken line of saintly representatives serving as active leaders, no man can give himself the title of Swami. He rightfully receives it only from another Swami. Uh, Another Swami, all monks thus trace their spiritual lineage to one common Guru, Lord Shankara, and it is true. By vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience to the spiritual teacher, many Catholic Christian monastic orders resemble the order of Swamis. In addition to his new name, usually ending in Ananda, the Swami takes a title which indicates his formal connection with one of the 10 subdivisions of the Swami order. Now they mention what are the different Swami orders, which is good to know. These dasanamis or 10 agomens include the Giri, which means the mountain, like Yukteswar Giri, okay, to which Sri Yukteswar and hence myself, that means Yogananda ji, belong. Among the other branches are Sagar, like the sea, Bharati, land, Aranya, forest, Puri, tract, Tirtha, place of pilgrimage, and Saraswati, wisdom of nature. The new name received by Swami thus has a twofold significance and represents the attainment of supreme bliss, means Ananda, through some divine quality or state, love, wisdom, devotion, service, yoga, and through a harmony with nature as expressed in her infinite vastness of oceans, mountains, and skies. So here there is a beautiful picture of Lord Shiva. It is by Dr. B.K. Mitra in the book. I think it's Kalyana Kalapatru. The Lord in his aspect as Shiva, where he's sitting in the Kailash Mountains. It's a very beautiful picture on page number 238. You can see it here. Yeah. So then we move on. Not a historical personage like Krishna, Shiva is the name given to God in the aspect of his threefold nature: creator, preserver, destroyer. Shiva, the annihilator of Maya or delusion, is symbolically represented in the scriptures as the Lord of renunciates, the king of yogis. In Hindu art, he is always shown with the new moon in his hair and wearing a garland of hooded snakes, ancient emblem of evil overcome and perfect wisdom. The single eye of omniscience is open on his forehead. This is similar to what we know is mentioned in greater details in Mahakatha Puran. If you get time and calling to read that book, then also that's a very good, wonderful way of continuing your journey as well. Yeah. The ideal of selfless service to all mankind and of renunciation of personal ties and ambitions leads the majority of Swamis to engage actively in humanitarian and educational work in India or occasionally in foreign lands, ignoring all prejudices of caste, creed, class, color, sex, or race. A Swami follows the precepts of human brotherhood. His goal is absolute unity with spirit, imbuing his waking and sleeping consciousness with the thought, I am he. He roams contentedly in the world but not of it. Thus only may he justify his title of Swami, one who seeks to achieve union with the Swa or self. Swa means self. It is needless to add that not all formally titled Swamis are equally successful in reaching their high goal. Shri Yukteswar was both a Swami and a yogi. A Swami, formally a monk by virtue of his connection with the ancient order, is not always a yogi. Anyone who practices a scientific technique of God contact is a yogi. He may be either married or unmarried, either a worldly man or of formal religious ties. A Swami may conceivably follow only the path of dry reasoning, of cold renunciation, but a yogi engages himself in a definite step by step procedure by which the body and mind are disciplined and the soul is liberated. Taking nothing for granted on emotional grounds or by faith, a yogi practices a thoroughly tested series of exercises which were first mapped out by the early rishis. Yoga has produced in every age of India men who became truly free, truly yoga Christ. So, if you are able to correlate, Guruji always told this thing that Rasik Vairagi. That means you don't need to be, with God in this Kali Yuga, and you don't need to hang yourself upside down from trees to reach your Rab or your Guru, right? So what we all need to do is, being in this world, doing all our, jobs, like if you are a wife, or if you are let's say you are a teenager, or if you are working in somewhere in some company and you are a guy, whatever it is, your norms and your responsibilities towards your parents, towards your wife, towards your husband, towards your children does not change. So, Rasik Vairagi Bano, that means being a worldly person, you can still continue your path of spiritualness because ultimately you have been sent to do that seva, to be a good householder. Okay, not everybody needs to be, going into the path of being a yogi, and going into the path that you have to leave worldly treasures, and that's a different aspect altogether. But our Guruji is so practical. He's so, I mean, no, good in that way. He's saying that, yeah, if a husband and wife should be the best of friends, बच्चों से भी प्यार करो, बच्चों से you should talk to them as if they are your friends, and सब लोग साथ में रहेंगे, you complete your worldly duties, then you come to the satsang. कुछ लोग ऐसी थोड़ी थोड़ी गलतियां कर देते हैं कि उनको लगता है कि मैं गुरुजी के पास चला जाऊं, वहां ब्लेसिंग ले लूं, बट माय फैमिली लाइफ इज एक्चुअली सफरिंग। वो गुरुजी ने कभी नहीं बोला है। So I think it is very important that we understand that to have God contact, we need to also complete our worldly duties. Jai Guruji. Like any other science, yoga is applicable to people of every clime and time. The theory, advanced by certain ignorant writers, that yoga is unsuitable for Westerners is wholly false, and has lamentably prevented many sincere students from seeking its manifold blessings. Yoga is a method for restraining the natural turbulence of thoughts, which otherwise impartially prevent all men of all lands from glimpsing their true nature of spirit. Yoga cannot know a barrier of east and west any more than does the healing and equitable light of the sun. Powerful statement. How can yoga be different if the sun's light is reaching everywhere with the same intensity? So long as man possesses a mind with its restless thoughts, so long will there be a universal need for yoga or control. The ancient Rishi Patanjali defines yoga as control of the fluctuations of the mind stuff. His very short and masterly expositions, the Yoga Sutras, form one of the six systems of Hindu philosophy. In contradistinction to Western philosophies, all six Hindu systems embody not only theoretical but practical teachings. In addition to every conceivable ontological inquiry, the six systems formulate six definite disciplines aimed at the permanent removal of suffering and the attainment of timeless bliss. The common thread linking all six systems is the declaration that no true freedom for man is possible without knowledge of the ultimate reality. The later Upanishads uphold the Yoga Sutras among the six systems as containing the most efficacious methods for achieving direct perception of truth. Through the practical techniques of yoga, man leaves behind forever the barren realms of speculation and cognizes and in experience the veritable essence. Fantastic language. The yoga system, as outlined by Patanjali, is known as the Eightfold Path. The first steps, yama and niyama, require the observance of 10 negative and positive moralities, avoidance of injury to others, of untruthfulness, of stealing, of inconvenience, of gift receiving, which brings obligations, and purity of body and mind, contentment, self discipline, study, and devotion to God. The next steps are number three, asana, which is right posture. The spinal column must be held upright and the body firm in comfortable position for meditation. Pranayama, number four, which means control of prana. Okay. Subtle life currents. And five, pratyara, which is withdrawal of the senses from external objects. The last steps are forms of yoga proper. Number six is dharana, which is concentration, holding the mind to one thought. Dhyana, which is meditation, and samadhi, superconscious perception. This is the eightfold path of yoga, which leads one to the final goal of kaivalya, which is absoluteness. A term which might be more comprehensively put as realization of the truth beyond all intellectual apprehension. Which is greater, one may ask, a Swami or a Yogi? If and when final oneness with God is achieved, the distinctions of various paths disappear. The Bhagavad Gita, however, points out that the methods of yoga are all ill embracive. Its techniques are not only meant for certain types and temperaments, such as those few who incline towards the monastic life. Yoga requires no formal allegiance because the yogic science satisfies a universal need. It has become a universal applicability. A true yogi may remain dutifully in the world. There he is like butter on water, but not like the easily diluted milk of unchurned and undisciplined humanity. A true yogi may remain dutifully in the world. There he is like butter on water, and not like the easily diluted milk of unchurned and undisciplined humanity. To fulfill one's earthly responsibility is needed the higher path, provided the yogi, maintaining a mental uninvolvement with egotistical desires, plays his part as a willing instrument of God. Please read it again whenever you're going through the book on your own time. There are a number of great souls living in American or European or any other non Hindu bodies today who, though they may never have heard the words yoga and Swami, are yet true exemplars of those terms through their disinterested service to mankind, or through their mastery over passions and thoughts, or through their single hearted love of God, or through their great powers of concentration. They are, in a sense, yogis. They have set themselves the goal of yoga, self control. These men could rise even greater heights if they were taught the definite science of yoga, which makes possible a more conscious direction of one's mind and life. Yoga has been superficially misunderstood by certain Western writers, but its critics have never been its practitioners. Among those thoughtful tributes to yoga may be mentioned one by Dr. C.G. Jung, the famous Swiss psychologist. You may have heard in your knowledge about reading that there are many people who actually talked about yoga when they were in alive. When a religious method recommends itself as scientific, it can be certain of its public in the West. Yoga fulfills this expectation, Dr. Jung writes. Quite apart from the charm of the new and the fascination of the half understood, there is good cause for yoga to have many adherents. It offers the possibility of controllable experience and thus satisfies the scientific need of facts. And besides this, by reason of its breadth and depth, its venerable age, its doctrine and method, which include every phase of life, it promises undreamed of possibilities. Every religious or philosophical practice means a psychological discipline that is a method of mental hygiene. The manifold, purely bodily procedures of yoga also mean a physiological hygiene which is superior to ordinary gymnastics and breathing exercises, inasmuch as it is not merely mechanistic and scientific, but also philosophical. In its training of the parts of the body, it unites them with the whole of the spirit, as is quite clear, for instance, in the pranayama exercises, where prana is both the breath and the universal dynamics of the cosmos. When the thing which the individual is doing is also a cosmic event, the effect experienced in the body, which is the innervation, unites with the emotion of the spirit, which is the universal idea. And out of this, there develops a lively unity with no technique, however, scientific can produce. Yoga practice is unthinkable and would be ineffectual without the concept on which yoga is based. It combines the bodily and spiritual with each other in an extraordinarily complete way. In the East, where these ideas and practices have developed, and where for several thousand years an unbroken tradition has created, the necessary spiritual foundations. Yoga is, as I can readily believe, the perfect and appropriate method of fusing body and mind together so that they form a unity which is scarcely to be questioned. This unity creates a psychological disposition which makes possible intuitions that transcend consciousness. The Western day is indeed nearing when the inner science of self control will be found as necessary as the outer conquest of nature. This new atomic age will see men's minds sobered and broadened by the now scientifically indisputable truth that matter is in reality a concentrate of energy. Finer forces of the human mind can and must liberate energies greater than those within, stones and metals, lest the material atomic giant, newly unleashed, turn on the world in mindless destruction. So, these are some very powerful revelations that we may have already learned and been aware about things, but then the way it is powerfully mentioned in this book, and it is just a revelation that we as simple human beings, we don't look into the greater good, that how actually the universe evolved. But then when we realize that this world is belonging to Guruji, and every atom that he created is out of its own desire, of his own रहमत, out of its hukum, out of his raza. एंड अगर उनकी नूर आपके ऊपर पड़ गई और उन्होंने आपको बोल दिया कल्याण किता जा ऐश कर, दैट मीन्स यू हैव नथिंग, एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग टू वरी. सो आज के लिए मेरा यही मैसेज है दैट you know we continue our spiritual journey. We stay put to our inner calling, that we should continue reading this book and continue going to satsangs, continue talking about Guruji. गुरुजी के वडियाई करो, गुरुजी के गुणगान करो. ताकि होगा क्या कि गुरुजी ना केवल आपसे खुश हो जाएंगे, वो आपको इतना ब्लेस कर देंगे कि आप बोलेंगे कि मुझे अरदासें क्यों करनी है. And today is an important milestone of the reading of this book, because we have reached actually the 50%. That means out of 48 chapters, we have reached 24 with Guruji's grace. And शुक्राना है गुरुजी के, गुरुजी ने इतना bless किया कि ये book हम लोग अभी तक पढ़ पाए. And I am telling you my personal experience that even after reading this book for the fifth time, still while reading this book, I am getting goosebumps that I may have missed these things in the first 4 times. सो यही बोलते हुए मैं आज का चैप्टर यहीं पे एंड करना चाहूँगा. एंड दिस बुक, एज आई मेंशनड, it's available in Hindi as well. It is called Yogi Kathamrit. In Hindi, it is Autobiography for Yogi. And this book has been written like, more than, it's been in publication or in print from the last 70 years. And it's been written over 40 languages. And this book has been termed as the 100 most इम्पॉर्टेंट स्पिरिचुअल बुक्स ऑफ द 20th सेंचुरी. आप कोई भी सेलिब्रिटी, कोई भी स्पोर्ट्स स्टार, किसी को भी बोल लो, एनीबडी हु इज लुकिंग फॉर ए life to evolve and understand the meaning of life, everybody has read this book in such a way that they actually understood that why Guruji told us to read this book. सो मेरी यही गुजारिश रहेगी आपसे विथ फोल्डेड हैंड्स, कि आप ये बुक अपने टाइम के हिसाब से, अपने सहूलियत के हिसाब से, कंफर्ट के हिसाब से आराम से इसको पढ़िए. डोंट मेक इट ए रैट रेस, डोंट रीड इट फास्ट, रीड इट स्लो, एंड let you absorb that positive energy which has been in publication for so long. सो इतना कहते हुए मैं आज का नरेशन यहीं पे एंड करना चाहूँगा, पूर्ण विराम देते हुए. ओम नमः शिवाय, शिवजी सदा सहाय. ओम नमः शिवाय, गुरुजी सदा सहाय. ऐसे ही गुरुजी की ग्रेस आप पे और आपकी फैमिली पे बरसती रहे. जय गुरुजी, शुक्राना गुरुजी.